Howdy, folks. Welcome to the Dusty Trails and Tall Tales podcast, where we keep the spirit of the Old West alive. Tonight's episode is a special one. We're joined live by actor, historian Peter Sherayko, a man who's been both in front of the camera and behind the scenes helping Hollywood get the Western right. Peter, welcome to the show.
Well, Matthew, thank you for having me.
It's a real pleasure to speak with you today. I've been following your work for many years, from Deadwood to Tombstone, and you even did a show on the History Channel, I believe, didn't you?
We used to do a couple on the History Channel, Wild West Tech. Wild
Yeah.
West Tech. I created my own Frankenstein monster because I started this company, Caravan West. We're the only company that does everything for a Western. We do horses, saddles, guns, gun belts, costumes, props, set dressing, people, the background people that I bring in, stunts. We do all of that stuff. There are no companies that do everything like that. There are companies that do everyone individually. And what I found out in the 80s was people would always complain about it. The prop people would complain about the customers, and the customers would complain about the stunt people, and the stunt people would complain about the set people. Everybody always complained, and I said, I gotta do something right. I gotta make it a cohesive, well-oiled machine. So I started doing that, and of course in the spectrum, while we did Wild West Tech, they would always ask for specialty things for the different characters that they were doing. And one of the things that I would make sure I put on right are all the guns. So back in the 80s, 70s, and 80s, I was buying Merlin and Hulberts for $200 to $300 because nobody wanted them. I started putting them on the show because some people in the Old West carried a Merlin and Hulbert. Now they're on a show. I enter the big gun show, big collector gun show in Vegas, about 2004, 2005. And one of the dealers came up to me and he says, Peter, thank you so much for putting Merwins on the show because nobody wanted them. We couldn't sell them. Now we've raised the prices to $1,500, $2,000, and people they can't get enough of them. And I was like, I created my own Frankenstein. I created something that I can't afford now because I was so I have a dozen of them, 14, 15 of them, and I was buying them, at $200, $300 a piece. Now they're 1,500 to 3,000 a piece.
Well,
And I created my own Frankenstein. Hey, there we go. See if I can get a little bit off the sun off me. We got me at the right time of the day when the sun is coming through the windows. We don't have curtains. We live on a ranch,
yeah,
and I like no curtains.
yeah. You shed a little light on the subject, huh?
That's right. Well, I was looking and I said, "Man, God, I'm washed out. Who's the old guy? Oh, it's me. Oh, okay. So we'll go. We're over here. I'm a little darker now. At least I'll
All
just say,
right.
yeah.
Well,
Any other questions? Yeah.
how did you first get involved in westerns?
Excuse me if I cough or have a problem. I came back from the last 2 weeks. I was in Albuquerque, Santa Fe, and Las Vegas, Nevada, at the SHOT Show, the Big Gun Show, a couple of places, the Comic Con, meeting thousands of people, and I got totally sick. They call it the SHOT Show crud, and I got that the other day when I came back. So I've been in bed, I've been coughing, I've been doing everything. So if I do that, please excuse me.
Sure.
I'm somewhat okay. Well, no, I'm not. But how I grew up, listen, ride a horse the way I ride, shoot a gun the way I shoot. I was born in New Jersey. I had no say over where I was born, but how I lived my life was mine. So when I was a little kid, we had it was the 1950s, and westerns were all over TV, and I watched them all, and I liked them all, and I was always mesmerized by the horsemanship and by the gun handling that everybody had, whether it was Hoppy, Gene, Roy, Lone Ranger. They were all unique. And they still, I watch them every day. I
Yeah.
watch the Lone Ranger every morning, and I'm amazed by the way he mounts a horse. In my heyday, in my great days, I couldn't mount like these guys can mount. And Roy Rogers was an incredible horseman. And uh, and now that I'm in my 70s, holy mackerel, I still ride. I still have my horses. I'm going to when we're done here, I'm going to go out while I still have some sunlight and feed them for their evening meal. But yeah, I couldn't do what they did. But I did that as a kid. When I was 10 years old, I used to come home from school, change clothes, and walk down to a rental stable that was at a park, and the guy would let me clean the stalls and then teach me how to ride. So that's what I did. And of course, my parents, I always tried to hide it from my parents. You can't know what I'm doing, but they had to know because I had to come home smelling like a horse every day. But that's what I did. And then after high school, which was sports, and then I was in the service for 4 years. I'm a Vietnam vet. And then I went to college, and that's when I discovered acting. So I became an actor, and a girl that I was going out with at the time said, "You have to pigeonhole yourself. The business pigeonholes you." And I thought about it, and I said, "Well, I like the outdoors. I like this." So I said I wanted to do westerns. Now I'm in New York City. I'm in a theater repertory company. We're doing 3 or 4 stage plays a year, touring the country with stage plays. And everybody laughed at me because this was the 70s. And they're going, nobody wants Westerns. Nobody likes Westerns. I said, well, that's what I want to do. And they all laughed at me for that. And then when I came out here in 1982, I brought my horses out. We had my wife and I, we had a motorhome, a pickup truck, a horse trailer, and a car. So we caravanned across the country. It took us 12 weeks to get out here. And that's how I got the name of the company, Caravan West.
Hmm.
We were out here. And then I'm dealing with my friends out here, and we're watching Westerns. And they kept on saying, that's the wrong hat. That's the wrong gun belt. That's the wrong gun. That didn't exist. That's the wrong saddle. Everybody complained about it, but nobody was doing anything about it. And around 1989, I said, I'm going to do something about it. And that's when I created the company to make westerns historically correct and to do something that nobody else cares about. And I found that out. Nobody cares about it. Nobody really
Yeah.
the people that work on it. It's a job to them. To me, it's not a job. It's an art, and that's what I want to do. I want to create something that people will remember. I was lucky enough to be able to do Tombstone. I worked with Kevin Jarre for a year while he was writing the movie and helped design all the guns. We did all. It's the only movie that has all authentic saddles, guns, gun belts, and the costume is correct.
Oh,
And after 33 years, no movie has come close to it.
your company is what made certain of that.
Yeah, see, you have to ask yourself, why is that different? Kevin Jarre knew his stuff. He knew what he wanted. He knew how he wanted it to look, and I was lucky enough to work with him for a year. So
Yeah.
every week he would write 5 or 6 pages, call me up, and I'd come down to his house, and he'd give me the pages. He'd say, "Here, go home, design the guns for this." So I would, and
Yeah.
and that's how it happened. And nobody else does that. They don't care. I did not get paid for that. Nobody in this business is going to work a year and not get paid. I was doing other jobs. I was doing another TV show or a movie or something. And I was
Mhm.
getting paid, but I was still just nobody in the business is going to say, "Hey, come and work with me and see how you can do this," and nobody would want to do it.
Yeah. I've noticed that about several of the more recent westerns. There's just been a lot of inaccuracies, and so I think. that really takes away from the overall movie itself.
There was one I watched a year and a half ago at a film festival, and it was not a bad movie and not a bad story. But the last scenes, they have the sheriff, who's the lead character, and there's a little love scene between he and his girl, and he's wearing one of those Buscadero carved rigs that you see in they're the cheap Mexican ones that you'll
Yeah.
see in tomahawk gift shops. And I said to the guy, I go, why did you put a Buscadero rig in this? And the designer who was there, he kind of looked. He goes, "What's a Buscadero rig?" And I said, "It's the halter you put on the guy." And he goes, "Well, that's the only thing we could find." And I said, "Well, why didn't you call me? It would have been all taken care of, and it would have been right." And the director, he got a little upset about it, and he said, "A holster does not make a western." And I said, "No, you're absolutely right, but it sure could ruin it."
Yeah.
And he got,
Yeah.
got a little upset about that. But that's the way I feel about it. I'm gonna take another lozenge. Yeah, yeah, I won't. Um,
Yeah.
so that's basically what I do. I've devoted my life to making westerns, and I want to do that. My 5 year goal plan now is to create a legacy museum where I have 20 buildings on the ranch full of props and guns and saddles. We have 300 saddles and 10,000 pieces of clothing and
Wow.
1,500, 1,600 guns. And so I want to put a legacy museum bringing the real West and the movie West together and show how this can be done. And then leave it to either the town, the state, the city, wherever I put it up.
Yeah.
And
Where are you
we're
planning on putting that up at?
I don't know. I've got some partners on it, and we're working. We're looking at Fort Worth, Texas. I'm looking at Arizona because I love Arizona,
Yeah.
and so we're looking at places in late February. I'm going out to Arizona for the end of trail, and I'll be looking at a couple of places over there. But I need the space. It's a place that I want to live. It's a ranch that I want to buy that has enough room for the museum and for my working ranch and my movie ranch, and put that all together. And I don't know, I'm in my 70s now. I figure, maybe I got 10 more years of working hard before I slow down and let things take over. But that's what I'm doing. So that's my 5 year goal. But 5 years from now, I want to have the museum up and starting to put it together.
Yeah.
And in the meantime, I'm still working on things. I've got two TV series that I'm pushing right now and promoting. That's why I was in Vegas at the SHOT Show, looking for a lot of companies that want to advertise on both the series. And I'm not going to go into what they are right now because they'll say, "Oh, come you're not doing it." Well, I don't know. We have to. It's it's something that has to be done, and and I want to do this. And in the meantime, I keep on writing books. I keep on working. I just did a movie called Blood Rush, which was a vampire western,
Oh.
which was kind of silly but fun.
Yeah.
And we did another one on Doctor Goodfellow, who was the doctor in Tombstone. And in March, I go back out to Tombstone, and we're going to do another week on that and finish up some more of the trial. I played Judge Spicer, who was the judge in Tombstone for the Wyatt Earp trial. So
Cool.
we're doing that. Yeah, I'm no longer the young stud puppy that gets on the horse and shoots guns. I'm the old guy. Oh, yeah, you're the judge now. Oh, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
you're the old bartender. Okay, yeah. But that's all right, as long as it's a western. As long as
Yeah.
yeah, I'm doing something that I want to do. And in the meantime, I'm writing books. All right, shall I do my my shameless plugs right now. I'll do
Sure.
my
Go
shameless
ahead.
plug.
Go ahead.
This is. Can we see this?
Sure.
This is Prove It Safe: Gun Safety in the Movies.
Uh,
This is because of Alec Baldwin and his fiasco.
mm-hmm.
Publisher called me and wanted me to write a book on the gun procedures in the movies because luckily, I mean, my company's worked on 1,000 shows, and we have. Thank you. I'm not complaining. We have not had any fatalities or accidents on the shows because we know what we're doing,
Yeah.
and there have been a few of them around, and and so forth. And there's a new law that came out that literally made it a law. Stuff that we generally do, and I had to read the law 3 or 4 times. I said, "You need a lawyer to help you interpret this." So I summed it up at the end. I said, "Here is this 5-page law. Here's the summation of it. Don't hire stupid people." That's wow. Excuse me. I'm just getting over this. I'm not even getting over it. Ladies and gentlemen, please excuse me. It's what happens when you get old. My other book, The Fringe of Hollywood: The Art of Making a Western. And yes, pictures, costumes, props, saddles, guns. My favorite story on this book, producer bought it, had it on his desk. I went into his office for a meeting. He picked up the book and he said, "Have you read this book? This book tells you how to make a Western." I said, "Read it? I wrote it." My favorite story about that. And my other one, of course, Tombstone,
Yeah.
the Guns and Gear. They're very funny. At I feel like Doc Holliday. Just
Yeah.
picture this: what Doc Holliday would have been like being interviewed in the Old West.
Yeah.
Except coffee or blood. I'm not coffee or blood. But
Yeah.
so if I lost 100 pounds, I could play Doc Holliday now.
Yeah.
And do do a magnificent job. But nothing would compare with what Val Kilmer did.
No.
And a lot of people ask me, how come he didn't get a Academy Award? He should have.
Yeah. You should
He
have.
he did an outstanding job. But Disney gave up on the movie. They thought the movie was not going to do any good, it was going to fail, and so they wrote it off. And they said, "Nope, we don't want it." And they were surprised.
Yeah.
So that's where we are there.
Yeah.
Give me another question.
Well, what was it like working on Tombstone? Since this one of the greatest modern westerns, pretty much in recent times.
Kurt Russell and I were in. We did a movie a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, called Bone Tomahawk, that I
Mm-hmm.
was the executive producer on, and we became good friends on that movie. And then about 2 years ago, we were in Oklahoma City at the Cowboy Hall of Fame, and we were sitting there talking. We said, after 30 years, no movie has come close to touching the popularity of what Tombstone is,
Yeah.
and and I knew that when we were making it. I knew it was going to be something because it was something that again Kevin Jar wanted. He wanted something totally unique. Unfortunately, he got fired. There was a lot of problems. There were 125 people that either quit or got fired. There were arguments every day on the set. Every day it was like walking on eggshells. You didn't know if you were going to be fired. You didn't know if you were going to be, let go. It was not a fun experience working on the set. The finished product, incredible. I don't know if anybody people tell you, oh, what a wonderful time they had. It was the scariest time ever for everybody.
Yeah. Well, it sure turned out after it was all said and done.
it turned it. Even though with all the stuff, with all the cuts they made on Kevin's script, with all the stuff that they did to it, there's no other movie that touches it. And again, it's the style of movies. I'm always on Facebook and I'm always looking at things, and they talk about the 35 best westerns, or the 10 best westerns, or the 12 best westerns. None of them really go into what I consider great westerns.
What
I
do you
consider a lot
consider?
of stuff from the 30s and 40s far better westerns. Western Union with Randolph Scott, um, Union Pacific with Joel McRae, either one of the two Virginians with Joel McRae or with Gary Cooper, The Plainsman with Gary Cooper. They Died with Their Boots On, Shane, Ombre in 1966. These movies left you with lines that you could live with. Tombstone gave you a whole bunch of lines. Think of the modern movies. Think of the killing of Jesse James, or The Missing, or any other movies made, A Quick and a Dead. These other things made. Are there any lines that you can live with, that you
Not
remember?
really. Yeah.
Are there?
No, not really. I
Yeah, but
mean,
you remember them all from Tombstone,
yeah,
and you can remember them all from other movies. Ride the High Country. My favorite line from that is Joel McRae saying, "I want to enter my house justified."
yeah,
That means something. Ombre. My favorite line in that movie is when Richard Boone is coming up towards the mining shack, and Paul Newman looks at him, and he's making the deal, and Richard Boone is a tough guy, and he says, "I got one question for you. How you gonna get back down that hill?" And then he shoots him, of course. And that those lines, Shane, a gun is just a tool, Marion.
yeah,
No different from an axe or a shovel. It's just a tool,
yeah.
and those things are are there. So, excuse me. I hope I'm not giving you a hard time on this stupid cough thing here. It's going to be uh-oh. Quick, help me name the movie. 1972, Blazing Saddles, a TV version. It's only 7 minutes.
Yeah. You did some work on Deadwood as well, but you weren't in the show. You were behind the scenes, correct?
I was, yeah. We were doing another movie on the location, on the set, and all these people came walking through there one day, and I was like, "Hey, who are these people? Oh, they must be looking for a western." So they had already cast it. They had already get everything, and these were the set people, and they were figuring out how they're going to restructure the set to make it look like Deadwood. So I went up and talked to him, and then I ended up with a meeting with the line producer, and I said, "Hey, we can bring the guns in. We can bring the horses in. We can bring the break period saddles in. We already hired all those people. We have all those people. You can bring the extras in." So I brought 100 people in for the pilot and the first 3 episodes, and so all those people in there. And then after the third episode, the line producer came up to me and he goes, "Okay, you gave us the look that we wanted. Now, can you guys work for $65 a day?" And I said, "No." I said, "No." They were making, if you were non-union, you were making about two and a quarter a day. If you were a union background person, you were making 350 a day. And they said, "No, no, we can't afford that." So they wanted to cut everybody down to $65 a day. So I gave all the guys their option. I said, "Here you are, guys. It's a great show. You can work on it, but that's all I'm going to pay you. And I'm not going to make you do it, and I'm not going to say you can't do it." It's your choice.
Yeah.
Some of the people stayed, some of the people didn't, and and that's it. But we gave them their look, and it was funny. I can't think of the man's name who created the show.
David Milch, I believe.
Milch, David Milch. David Milch, when he after he met me, he said, "Peter, I want you by my side every time we're going to walk around the set. And you're going to point out what's right, what's wrong." And he wanted to do it right,
Yeah.
so I was pointing out what's right and what's wrong, and giving him instructions. And then the line producer would call me into his office and said, "Hey, you're pissing my wrangler off. You're pissing my prop people off." And I said, "Somebody's going to be replaced. It's not going to be them." I said, "I'm only doing what David Milch wants. He wants it right."
Yeah.
And, I'm trying to think of one instance. It's 1876. We're filming a pilot, and Swearingen comes in with his right hand man. He has to shoot a gun into the air in his saloon to get the attention of everybody. Comes in and he couldn't shoot the single action. Couldn't shoot it. Actor. It's terrible.
Yeah.
The director said, "Give him another gun. Give him a gun that works." So the prop guy gave him an 1877 Colt Lightning, double action.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the 1877 didn't come out until 1878. This is 1876. He couldn't get that gun to fire either. Director said, What's wrong with it?" And I said, "It's probably a prototype. It hasn't been invented yet." So
Yeah.
that's the problem that I cause because I want to do it right.
Did you work on it through the whole series or just this first
No,
episode?
just the first the pilot and the first three episodes, and then I stopped. I said, I do enough shows. We do shows. I'm always acting. I do a lot of low budget movies, so we're doing low budget movies, but I do two or three of them a year. B westerns. I love
Yeah.
B westerns,
What
and
are some of the more recent ones?
I make a good living, so I'm not.
Yeah.
You know,
What are some of the more recent ones you've done that we could look them up and watch?
well, the one we did in October was Doctor Goodfellow, and then in September we did Blood Rush, which is the vampire western. They came out with it last Saturday at the red carpet screening. Was a Billy the Kid movie that we did earlier last year, and that just came out. Where again, is it some of the stuff actually happened? Most of the stuff didn't, like most movies.
Yeah.
I play a drunken old sheriff who Pat Garrett wants to hire because I'm a good. I'm drunk. Yeah, I did well on that. I rehearsed that part of being drunk a lot.
Yeah.
So
Another
we did
thing.
that, and yeah, so that's that. It's Billy the Kid, and I can't think of what the subtitle is. Blood and Glory or Blood and Guts or something like that. But yeah, I mean, we're always working on that. And then we have two TV series that run on INSP. One is called Elkhorn, about Teddy Roosevelt in the Old West. And the other one is Wild West Chronicles. And we just finished the fifth season of that in September. Now we're waiting to see if it's going to be picked up for another season.
I've seen advertisements for Elkhorn, but I haven't actually sat down and watched any of it yet. But
People like it. It's pretty good. It's about Teddy Roosevelt.
yeah.
And we do the costumes, the props, the set dressing, the guns, the horses, and my official title on Wild West Chronicles is consulting producer. And it's a documentary, so it's not union. So when it's not union, I don't care about working on it if it's not union. unless the partner really says, "Hey, yeah, you did work on this," and I'll do it.
Well, I understand you used to do some, or I don't know if you still do, some fast draw competitions. And you told a story about,
Back in the '70s, I started out faster. You know who Bob Munden is?
yes, sir.
Bob Munden. I was in New Jersey. I was in New York working, and I was buying my Colt single actions, and I was using a Buscadero rig back then. Well, nobody was creating them. It was Phil Spangenberger who started it, and El Paso Saddlery. Bob is in New Jersey, and he's doing a show, and he offered $1,000 to anybody who would beat him at the draw. And I was like, ha ha, I'm pretty darn good. I'm going to go and do that. So I went down. I walked in on the middle of a show, and my mouth opened like, oh, this guy is incredible. And we had eye contact. Then after the show was over, we started talking, and he said, "You were going to challenge me, weren't you?" And I said, I thought about it." He goes, "Yeah, but you saw what I could do." I said, "Yeah." Then he was doing a show for a year at Six Flags over Texas in New Jersey, and he wanted an opening act before his show. So I put together a stud show, and we did that. And I worked with Bob for a year. He made a Ruger for me. I still have it. I was using it just a couple of weeks ago, and I have about four or five of the fast draw guns. They're all made. It was a big sport back then,
Hmm.
and the holster that I have is the same holster that he had made, and I think it was made by Safariland at that time. So I still have that. Doesn't fit me anymore, but yeah, I did fast draw with Bob. He taught me. I could never touch him. He had one incredible trick that he would do is we'd have a party over at my place, and he would take a gun, single action, cock it, give it to a guy. He said, "Okay, here's your gun, it's cocked. Put your finger on the trigger." He says, "When I go for my gun, you pull the trigger." He would pull his gun, shoot it, and take his hand and put it between the hammer and the frame, stopping it from firing. That's how
Wow.
fast he. And I would sit there going, "Ah, you're just incredible." But his reaction time is was incredible, and that's how I feel about my reaction time. When I sit at a traffic light and the light turns green, and these people are still sitting there, because the average person takes a quarter of a second to react.
Mhm.
Well, he was able to draw, cock, and fire a gun in 1/100th of a second.
That's
You
incredible.
know, so his reaction time was super. And because of doing fast draw, I also developed my reaction time.
Did you compete with any other Hollywood actors? Don't you have a story about Ben Cooper?
Ben Cooper, good guy. God, he did all these wonderful shows in the '50s, and in the 1990s, Ben was in his '70s, and we were celebrity guests at the end of trail, and they had competitions. So we were doing that, and I beat him by like a tenth of a second in the deal. So I won the buckle and I won the prize, and Ben was like, "Let's can we have a shoot off? Can we do it again? We're so close." And I said, "Ben, no, I won. Period. I'm not going to
Yeah.
risk it doing that." But Ben was fast. Ben was a good gun guy, and he was a good horseman. And again, he was in his '70s, and we're riding and we're doing Monte shooting competition. He was a good guy.
Yeah.
That is one of the things that I'm so proud of in my life. I have gotten to meet. some of the guys that I grew up watching, people that were stars in the 40s and the 50s. And I met them when they were in their 70s and 80s and 90s. And some of them we became friends. I mean, when I first got to California in '82, I was asked to judge a the gunfighting contest,
Hmm.
and down in San Diego. So I went down there, and I was the third judge. The other two judges were Dick Simmons, Sergeant Preston, and Jock Mahoney, the range rider. And I'm sitting between the two of them, and I'm looking and I go, "It's Sergeant Preston. It's the range rider. It's Yancey Derringer." I'm like, and Jocko and I, we became friends, and we did a lot of different benefits together. You know, and unfortunately, he passed away. He was just 70. But I asked him one time. I said, "What does it feel like? You know, to be known as being Tarzan?" Because he was, I think, the 16th Tarzan, and he did two movies for that. And that one of the movies got him very sick in India. And he said he just loved being associated with Tarzan. I mean, this is to be in this business. You can be associated with icons
Yeah.
and be with. So you know, I've worked with these guys. Hank Warden, Old Mose from the Searchers. We became good friends in the and again, he was one of these guys that never made a lot of money in the business. He always worked for scale. But his last movie that he did, uh, the guy who played Crocodile Dundee, it's a western he did, Lightning Jack,
Yeah.
and Hank played his father. And Hank said it's the first time. It was the last movie he ever did before he passed away. And he said it's the first time in his career that he got paid more than scale. And but it was it was good. And I worked with Dobie Carey, who's from all the John Ford movies, and Ben Johnson, who is probably one of the greatest, if not the greatest horseman, of Hollywood fame. Uh, there's certain people that I missed. I always wanted to meet Lee Marvin, but I was in New York when Lee Marvin passed away here, so I never got the opportunity to work with him. But I worked with Kurt Douglas, Charlton Heston, Moses. I'm here with Moses. It's just incredible things. Um, James Gardner, Maverick. To work with these people is, Charlie Bronson. It was just it's an incredible experience in life knowing that here's people that I grew up watching on TV or going to the movies and watching, and now I'm working with them. Wow, what a great feeling that is! I
Yeah.
know I don't know if anybody else can understand that, but to me, it's just such a wonderful thing, and now I can smile. I worked three movies with Sam Elliott, a couple with Val Kilmer, a couple with Kurt Russell. It's. Thank you. I consider myself I've had a very blessed life. I've made a living at it, and I do what I want to do. And I tell people this is what you have to do in life. There's this talk that I give out to SAG members, to college people, and it's the power of persistence. You don't give up, you don't quit, you just keep on going,
Yeah.
and you follow your heart and you follow your mind. I mean, if you follow your heart, you can make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah.
But if you follow your mind, then you just get greedy. But if you combine the both, it becomes a very blessed place to be.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, Peter, I sure appreciate you taking time to be with us tonight, and even though you're kind
yeah,
of under
so now I'm
the
going to go feed the horses, and then after that, I'm going to come in. I'm going to sack out again and take my medicine and go to sleep and hope this passes away.
yeah,
I hope I don't pass away, but
yeah,
uh, it's a
it's
silly
been great
thing.
been great getting to speak with you, and I could listen to your stories for hours. I always welcome to come
I
back.
got, listen, if you wanna do this again sometime, just let me know.
Sure, love to.
Hopefully, hopefully I'll be healthy and won't be spreading the plague on anybody.
Yeah,
Uh, but yeah, I'd love to do it. I enjoy sharing things, and if there are questions that people have about about Western movies and what I like about them, what I don't like about them,
yeah,
why I like them. See, to me, the West is this country's mythology.
yes, sir.
It's our you know um, Odin, Hercules, whatever the gods are from ancient stories.
Yeah,
It's our mythology, and
yeah,
I just feel obligated to bring it to the people as truthful as I can,
yeah.
and let them enjoy it.
And I sure appreciate you doing that, making the West real.
Well, it's people ask me, they go, "Well, are you a historian?" I say, "Well, I have a library, which is a different building here on the ranch, which well, I have 5,000 books in it, which read all the time, mostly all on the West." And so I look at that, and then I have my horses and my guns, and there's not a day that goes by that I'm not watching a Western, that I'm not playing with a gun, or that I'm not with my horses. So I like to consider myself a practical historian
Yeah,
because I can I understand what it's like to do these things,
yeah,
and whether it's you know sometimes I mean it's 65 degrees here, so it's not like the rest of the country that
yeah,
is suffering. Um, but I get it, with the rain and the wind. We get 70-mile-an-hour winds out here, and we get rain, and sometimes we get snow. But I still have to get out and feed the horses and drive out in the tractor and do things. And I go, yeah, everybody wants to be a cowboy until you have to do the cowboy shit,
yeah.
and that's that's the secret behind it, that you
All
have to
right.
do it. Mm.
Well, we'll see you
Anything else?
next.
Anything else you want to ask me before?
Oh, we'll try to bring you back and have another episode. I feel like we could just keep talking half the night, but I'm sure you got to go feed your horses and do your cowboy shit.
That's that's it.
All
That's
righty.
it.
Well, it's good speaking with you. Thank you for being here.
All right. Thank you, Matthew. You enjoy yourselves.